Brian Reed, why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Please stand. Join me, put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Director Avila,
Here.
Director Denner,
Here.
Director Freeman,
Here.
Vice Chair Gray,
Here.
and Chair O'Brien.
Here. Item 3, agenda review. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Staff has no recommended changes.
All right.
I'm looking at junior golfers, and we also have e-bikes on the agenda. Do we have people, I know some e-bike people were here. Were any junior golfers here?
We reached out to all the golfers that attended the last meeting or their parents, sent an email and called a couple of them. And so they're aware of the meeting. I don't recognize any of the folks here that are related to golf.
Okay.
We did notify them though.
Okay.
All right. All right. Item 4, public statements. Items not on the agenda. Is there any member of the public here tonight that would like to speak on an item that is not on our current agenda? Anyone online, on Zoom? Okay. Item 5, approval of minutes. Rancho Senior Recreation and Park District Board of Directors meeting, August 3rd, 2022. Are there any changes, questions?
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call.
Director Avila,
Aye.
Director Denner,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gray,
Abstain.
and Chair O'Brien.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Item 6, consent agenda. Are there any questions about any item on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the account payable check register, on page 5, it's just a question.
Okay.
On the Capri property and liability, how does that compare to previous year?
We're expected to be up 20% over last year.
20%?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one, anyone else have a question? I have one on page 7, check number 10949, Ms. Amy's Enrichment, Inc. What was being enriched? $13,478.50.
What's the check number again?
10949.
949.
I know that's a summer camp class, and I don't know if Zach's on the line if he has any further details, but what type of class, but it is a summer camp course.
Educational enrichment.
Yeah, I figured something
Yes,
like that, it just seemed to leave
That
out.
is correct. That's for the Oak Park Summer Camp program that ran out of Mayborn this summer.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? Would anyone like to move for approval?
So move.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Director Avila,
Aye.
Director Denner,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gray,
Aye.
and Chair O'Brien.
Yes. Okay, item 7, presentations, scheduled items, and public hearings. Presentation of the full-time employee of the month award for July 2022 to Ryan Picklesheimer, crew leader.
Thank you, Chair. Teresa Pennington, Director of Administration, will provide staff's report.
Thank you. Ryan was unable to attend this evening, but asked me to pass on his thanks, but I will go ahead and read the report into the record. The person who nominated Ryan stated, "Digging holes to repair broken pipes is a hard enough job as it is, but doing so on a hot summer day makes it that much more difficult. However, that's exactly what Ryan and his crew does when the need arises. Not to mention the task of finding where the problem is, and then comes the actual repair, which can be the most difficult part of the job. Most recently, Ryan and his crew completed the challenging project of reprogramming all of the irrigation controllers throughout the parks to cut back on water usage. Ryan has a great work ethic and gets the job done with determination and perseverance. The Park District is fortunate to have him, especially as a crew leader. Congratulations to Ryan on this well-deserved award."
continued business? There is none. Item 9, new business. A, review and consider providing direction regarding fees for junior golfers.
Thank you, Chair. Brian Reed, the golf course manager, will present staff's report. I would note we did invite the folks. The board could consider
Yeah.
postponing the item if you felt the need to have those folks here. We can reach out again. Either way is fine, just a note there.
Before Brian begins, and we make him read a long report, if that's what we're going to do, I would suggest we do that before we make him read the report.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Dan made the suggestion that we could be open to postponing this until the junior golfer, the people that were interested were here. I'm not expressing an opinion, I'm just saying if we're going to put it off because they're not here, don't make the guy read the report first.
We can read the report first.
No,
No?
I think what Brian is saying is let's decide on whether we're gonna do it another time before Brian reads the report.
Continue the whole item?
Correct. So I believe there was 5 individuals that were present at your last meeting. We reached out to them and none of them
None
were
of them are here.
I'm good with working on it
table it if
tonight.
you
I
want.
just meant if right after he does his report, if someone says, well, they're not here, let's do it another night. We'll just save Brian the time of reading.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, here's my feeling on it.
Alright.
I think there was there were a lot of comments. What was it, 5? Is that what
I
it
believe
was?
it was 5, yeah, 5
Which is more than the norm on a particular issue. My thing is, I don't like to discuss and rediscuss the things because then they drag on and then they start becoming something they weren't. So I don't know how to answer it. If we think we have enough information from the public that spoke, I'm okay with going forward. But if we're just going to hear it and discuss it a little and then wind up in the same place we were before, I would rather just discuss it once rather than more than once, because I just think that's when we start getting ourselves into other issues, when we start analyzing something over and over again.
I'd be fine with putting it off for one meeting. I just don't want to keep doing that, hoping they'll show up. And if we put it off one meeting and nobody shows up, then I say go ahead with it, because obviously we don't care that much.
And I'm okay either way, I just don't want to
Okay.
discuss the same thing 5 times.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I personally, it's been published and they've been called. And I think the staff report's very thorough and tells the story. So I have no problem moving forward.
Oh, there's one right there.
Ah, it's a golf person?
There you go.
Okay. I'm kind of neutral, to be honest. I mean,
Actually, we have an attendee now, so I think
we
we
do
can
now,
move forward.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's okay with the board, yeah.
Well, I think we should move forward with having a attendee. All right.
Mr. Reed.
Proceed, please.
Hi, Mayor, Honorable Chair, members of the board. Actually, I was going to just summarize the report this evening because all the data is laid out in the report. As you can see, I did a summary of the rates and discounts that we provide at both of our courses, and there's also a summary of what the junior policies and rates are at other local golf courses. So I was just going to point out that there's the
Yeah, maybe
summary of
Brian,
the
if you
rates.
could go through our rates so it was clear on what we're offering in our program.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a quick review of what we offer. We offer a 50% junior discount every day after 12 o'clock, ages 17 and younger. And then additionally, we offer a young adult discount for ages 18 through 25 of 25%. That applies to green fees, cart fees, and range fees. 7 days a week after 12 o'clock. We also offer a discount on Players Club membership. We offer discounts, all the pros offer discounts on lessons. And Simi Hills also accepts the Southern California Golf Association junior membership, which discounts green fees down to $5 to members of that program. That's accepted Monday through Thursday after 12 o'clock as well. So those are the higher level discounts that we offer. Same at Sinaloa, 50% for juniors, 25% for young adults. Discounts on lessons, and then we also offer junior classes and camps over at Sinaloa through Park and Rec, through the class program. So,
And then Brian, what we're offering the high schools, the golf teams.
both high schools will actually Simi and Oak Park get during their golf seasons, boys and girls, spring and fall, they get unlimited. Well, it's limited to a certain number of days a week at Simi, and they get practices and playing rounds at Sinaloa for their team members. We give them unlimited range balls managed by the coaches. They are able to dole those out during their practice sessions, and then we allow them to play the course at no charge during their season. So boys in the spring, girls in the fall. And that's for Simi, Royal, and Oak Park High Schools.
Okay. All right.
Brian has provided the comparables with neighboring courses and what they're offering for junior golf discounts in the report.
It looks like we do, I think, okay. Are there any questions from anyone?
You go first, Brian. I do, but go ahead.
Sometimes I don't go first just to limit that I'm just not talking too much, but
I'm doing the same thing, so.
Brian, a question I have for you is not how much a golfer spends, because there's so many ways and variables, so not how much they spend on their coaches and outside equipment, but for a high school athlete, what would you estimate, like someone that's playing throughout the year is spending monthly, specifically to us as an organization? I know like some kids might play once a week and some might play 5, but so that's a tough number maybe.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult. And our system doesn't, our point of sale system does provide a discount report, and so I ran that for the last year. We rung up somewhere in the neighborhood of, $4 million in green fee, car fee, and range. There was $90,000 last year that was rung up at a 50% discount. So that's green fee, car fee, and range fee total. $90,000 out of $4 million was rung up at a discount. So it's kind of hard to extrapolate how many of those rounds or were cart fees. Some players, hit a bucket of balls and play and ride in a cart. So there's 3 discounts, for one person. So it's kind of hard to, nail that down exactly because of the way our system, counts discounts. But it's a fairly small percentage-wise.
And then another question is, sometimes when we spend money and charge money, it's because we're trying to equal them out. But if someone's taking a golf cart, if a young person's golfing and their mom or dad wants to ride or take a golf cart with them, how much is that costing us? Not how much do we charge them, but is it costing us because we can't rent that golf cart to somebody else, or is it costing us just the routine maintenance, electricity,
Yeah, just routine maintenance, and it's a business center. I mean, so it is something that we buy golf carts and we lease them and we turn around and rent them, and there's a surplus that's generated. There's payroll and electricity and water, washing and maintaining the facilities. So there's a lot of things that go into it. We don't really separate down exactly what profit is generated by that department versus green fees. It's quite a bit smaller than green fees. But yeah, I mean,
and then we have the monthly lease fee for each car.
Right. There's lease expense. There's water and time and payroll to wash them, repairs. All of those things get factored into the cost of.
But at most points, if they're also renting it or not renting it, it wouldn't be going anywhere else because the golf course is already filled. Does that make sense? Like at that point, if they're golfing in the afternoon, if they didn't rent it that day, was it going to go out to another golfer or just sit?
In general, yeah. I mean, golf carts are typically rented out 2 to 3 times per day. So, I mean, each cart will get rented in the morning, go around, get washed, charged, for a little bit, then rented again, and then again sometimes. So in general, if a player decides to walk and not rent a cart, it's just going to be available for the next player who wants to ride. Our ridership average is about 77%. So most players, ride when they play. So if one player opts not to use a cart, it's there in the line for the next player who would use it.
Ed?
Sure. All right, I have a number of questions. Let me start with more general. When you prepared your report and came up with your analysis, did you take into account the comments that were made by the public at when they spoke about this, the 5 or 6 people who spoke?
I did, yes.
Okay. And are those incorporated in any way in your recommendation?
It's really very difficult because there were The general feeling of the comments that were made were that golf was too expensive, or golf at Simi Hills was too expensive, number one, and then there were also a couple of underlying comments that, you know, golfers didn't feel welcome, or didn't feel appreciated. So the second one is really kind of hard to quantify, so that's not really addressed. But so what I tried to focus on was what we provide as a general junior benefit compared to what other golf courses are providing, and try to draw a comparison like that.
So let me ask you this, and I'm not making this as a suggestion for what I want to see. I'm using this as a way of trying to understand the issue. Let me ask this in two parts. How much of our revenue, is it a significant or insignificant portion of our revenue that comes from the junior golf activities? And if I could word it another way to put it at an extreme, what would we be missing out on? And I'm not suggesting we do this, but what would we be missing out on if we gave the juniors the activities for free?
So in general, our approach to discounting is there's prime times in the morning that are full fee customers and are booked 100% on a regular basis, so we typically don't discount when utilization is really high. In the afternoon, tee sheets are not as full, so that's when we typically have discounts. Junior discounts are a great example of that, but also military discount and twilight rates. We do that to try to increase the utilization of the the less desirable times. So that's our general approach. So if we were to not charge juniors at all, our data kind of suggests that maybe 2 or 3% of our rounds are played by juniors, and what that might equal would be, just shooting from the hip, $90,000 ish.
So in terms of the overall revenue, the junior revenue as it stands right now with the pricing and discounts that we have right now it matters, but it's a relatively insignificant amount. And so getting away from the extreme example for a moment of just giving the activity away for free, there would be some room for more movement in terms of offering juniors something without making a significant dent in the revenue.
Of course, the board could do whatever you like.
But I mean, I'm just talking about just looking at the numbers. There would be ways of doing that without significantly impacting the revenue.
Correct.
Sure.
There would be ways of doing that, looking at the 90,000 and how we scope any deeper discounting. I would say one of the impacts is if you offer it free to everyone, how much is that
Right.
It's going to impose on the paying rounds. So,
No, and
but yeah, there is opportunity to reduce
Right.
the rates.
I just wanted to make sure that
Yes.
we had a base number that we were starting from. I wasn't,
Yeah.
as I said before I asked my question, I wasn't in any way suggesting
Yeah.
that we give the activity away for free, but I wanted to just get to a base number that when we're talking about our youth, that we're talking about a really small portion of the golf revenue, and as you know, the golf revenue matters to me. But so to somehow further discount it or make it more accessible to the youth would not be damaging that bottom line or that revenue line
Let me,
a whole lot.
To look at it in a different way, we generate in a normal year, not a COVID year when we had the really high, but on a normal baseline year, we're generating between $400,000 and $500,000 of additional revenue over expenses. And that money is going into the capital plan, which then funds the irrigation project and those things. So when you're looking at the discounting, I would look at the margin of what we have for capital. So if we were to discount free all of that 400,000 instead of 400 or 500,000 in additional revenue, we'd have 300,000 to generate, to put toward future
Right,
improvements.
but again, that was the extreme example. That was
Yes.
giving it away for free.
But that's a way to.
So the point is, there is room to do more. The youth or the junior golf
Yes.
is not the bread and butter of our revenue.
The impact of that is less revenue for capital projects for future improvements at the golf course.
But
whatever dollar
again,
amount
but
that
again,
is.
to a lesser extent than other types of discounts would be for other players who play more often.
Yeah, because those discounts are applied to a broader range of customers, more customers.
Right.
And an important thing to keep in mind, if, say for example, we did that and there was, no cost for junior golfers and we took away the time restrictions and golfers were allowed to play at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, juniors, and play for free, that would displace a $75 round. So the amount of revenue loss that would be realized is not contemplated in the current amount of discount that we give out. It could be a considerable amount more if we had a foursome of juniors at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning and offsets $300 worth of full fee because there's only so many tee times.
Right, but nobody's suggesting that we do that.
Director, we do have a couple of ideas if you want to head in the direction that you're
Right,
going.
well, what I was going to ask is, do we have some proposals? I want to ask one more specific one. That was, you're anticipating my questions, that's really good. I want to, one of the troubling things for me, and I just want to understand this, is the use of the cart issue. So I just want to be clear. I don't even want to make this as a statement. I want to start off as a question. So if a junior golfer is golfing and a parent or an adult is accompanying them, but they're not golfing, but they're utilizing a cart, they have to pay for that cart? Is that my
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the rationale behind that?
Well, number one, we rent carts for a business. That's what we do. I mean, we rent golf carts for players, and so there's no reason why we wouldn't rent it for a junior player who, if there's a parent who's going, and so that they're renting a cart so that their junior can ride with them to ride the golf course. That's what we do. That's why we do it. And there's also precedent. I did ask that in our survey of the golf courses. By the way, none of the golf courses really put a lot of information on their website about what they do with juniors. So we reached out to the pros at every golf course and really picked their brains of how they handle each situation. But every golf course in our competitive set that we surveyed, they charge full fee for most of the courses charge full fee, green fee, and cart fee for a parent, even if they're not playing. But there are a few who charge just the cart, and they all charge full rate. In our case, would be 17. We have a spectator fee that we extend that is 12, which is we're one of only one or two courses that actually does that.
Right. Okay. In terms of the other golf courses, I like that information, but again, if you know anything about me, I always want to be better than everyone else. So that's all. I always want us to, to provide better. I think I only can speak for myself here, but I'm probably speaking for a majority of the board. I definitely want to look out for our youth. That's a priority. So with that in mind, and with that concern in mind, that does bring me to my next question, and that is, do we have any proposals, Dan, from staff, in terms of some things that we could do without affecting the bottom line much, but that might make the experience better and more accessible to the junior golfers?
Yeah, we came up with a few, Director. One could be the half off 50% discount, you could expand the hours. So right now it's applied afternoon. We could make that earlier in the day. So you could go to 10, that would give them an opportunity for a discount. So that would be when we talk about course availability, which is some of what we heard, that would open up the availability of discounted golf for juniors for more hours. That's one idea. The other idea is with the SCGA during the week after school, Monday through Thursday right now, we contemplated that $5 charge with the SGA membership. We could reduce that to $1, so it's virtually free, and extend it to Fridays. So every day after school, if you were associated with the SCGA, we could reduce the $5 to $1. And then also the spectator fee on the carts. Again, Brian explained that relative to the parents. We could do that. My only comment there is that those carts do cost us money. We do have a cost to that. It's not like an open field or a park where there's no direct cost. So we could do that, but recognize that there is a cost to the carts. So. So those are a few of the ideas we came up with to expand in response to some of the comments, to expand the availability, do some deeper discounting without getting into the fee paying rounds, and then also contemplating, some of the direct comments relative to spectator fees.
All right, so those are, I have comments, but those are my questions, so I'll wait till after public
Okay.
comment for my
No
comments.
public comments. Any other questions from anyone? Josh, no?
I have a few more, but I was waiting to see if Elaine had any.
Okay.
Do you have any? Brian, I don't know how often it comes up, but if a junior golfer is golfing and the person with them has a physical disability, does that factor in? I apologize if I missed that in the report. Like a grandparent's walking with them, but taking a cart because they physically need it?
No, we didn't contemplate that in the report. That happens on a daily basis. A lot of players, well, not just spectators, but players ride in carts because, they can't walk the golf course. That happens every day.
And then if we extended the high school season with the discounts, because there's discounts and really good deal during the season, if we added a couple weeks in the beginning or the end, everything costs money. How do you think that would displace other golfers, or how dramatic of a hit would that cause?
You're talking about just for the kids on the roster
Yeah,
currently,
the
or
kids on the roster, they get their really good deal during the season, but if we extended the season a few weeks on both ends, boys and girls.
Before it would be difficult because we don't know who's going to be on the team until they have tryouts, number one. So you'd have to kind of just open that up, and after the season could be done. I mean, but that basically gets into, would we continue to give them just free golf for how long? And sure, we could. It would be an impact, of course. Every tee time that's taken up by free golfers, offsets, people who'd be paying a fee. So depends on when it happens, and but yeah, it would be a revenue offset.
And then I understand because we've spoken about before. Dan's talked to me about it. It's in the report. But I've heard the comment that money is being charged to our community, and then the money flows to other needs in the park district. Most of the money, my understanding, is it's going to go to physical improvements that are paying for staff in the park district. Or I'm sorry, at the golf course. How true is that?
For the last several years, there was a number of years in a row that there were transfers out of Fund 80 to the general fund for other projects. That's been generally stopped for the last 4 or 5 years. There hasn't been any transfers out of 80. We've been letting money build up because the irrigation project and clubhouse improvements need to be funded, and so that's the funding mechanism to get our capital projects accomplished.
And related to that is the clubhouse improvements, like the birdie bar in that area.
Right.
What's the long-term goal of improving those things?
If I could comment, Brian.
Sure.
So generally, we went through the golf capital plan this year, and we picked out those things, the higher level things that are kind of have to do's just to keep the course at an operational level. I think the total value of that is about, those projects is about $8 million, and we currently have 5 in the fund balance. So when we're talking about needing the extra funds, any extra money, again, subject to the board's approval on those projects, we need about $3 million more to do that, to do the projects that were on our capital list. In the past, I would note the margins were greater, meaning we had more revenue than expenditures going back a number of years. So golf had generated more revenue at the time, but as the costs have gone up, water, insurance, all of those things, those margins have shrunk. And the margins have shrunk, so the money that's in golf is less, and that money that we have in golf at this point, looking at the capital plan, needs to stay in golf at least until we can get those projects funded. Does that
Yeah,
make
that
sense?
answers it.
Yeah.
Lastly, this isn't for Brian to answer, but when we have public speakers, we normally don't go back and forth with them. So I know there's a public speaker tonight. As a part of your comments, if you choose to, it would help me to understand the issue. If you mention how much money you're spending at the golf course, but not on coaches or other things, but just money that's going to the park district. So if you could just estimate that for me, it'd help me understand the issue when we come to public comments. That's all the questions for me.
Okay, Chair, I had one follow-up if I could.
Okay.
Dan, on the last question that you answered for me in terms of some things that we could do, if we implemented those, how significant would that be in terms of revenue?
I think on the $5 to $1 idea, I think there's maybe 40 or 50 rounds that are played there, right? So it's $5 times 50 per month, say. But we got to recognize if that we're offering it cheaper, we may have more youth playing as well. So it's you're talking $300-400 a month times 12, $4 or $5 grand, in somewhere in there. $3 or $4 grand. What is that?
Yeah.
It doesn't get up to 5. But okay.
It doesn't get up to 5, yeah.
If I may, the other idea of expanding the hours, which we would offer junior discount right now, it's after 12 o'clock. If we were to, allow the juniors to play anytime during the day or after 10 o'clock or any of those kind of things, there's a lot more revenue offset with that one because we also have our young adult discount, which is 18 to 25. So it would be very difficult for us to defend allowing, under 17 a discount in the morning, but not young adults. We could, if that was what the board desired, but it would be hard on the front end explaining that to players. But any of those discounts that would apply in the morning, if a player was to play in the morning, they would be offsetting a full fee round rather than a off-peak round. So there would be a little bit more of an offset with those.
And Director, we wouldn't know in the expanding in that. Remember, if we offer deeper discounts or expanded times, and the juniors, we get more juniors playing, they're going to take the tee times where we might have full paying customers.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that. I think
just
that
to
of
note
all the
that,
things you
which
mentioned,
is
that would
hard.
be my biggest concern.
Right.
That would be the one that would give me the biggest concern.
All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment. I see one person here who wants to comment. Is there anyone online that we're aware of?
Chair, it looks like it's all staff online right now, so
Yeah,
I don't see any
just to be
public
true.
online.
All right, I have no green card, but would anyone like to come on up?
I will correct for the record, with the exception of one person, I would say the rest can count as staff for members of the board.
I'm sorry, say again?
Thank you, Josh. Yes, staff and
Yeah,
board
I think
members,
Josh is
yes.
right about that.
He is
Oh,
correct.
yeah. Okay.
Virginia, before I start my time, I want to ask Dan a couple of questions so that I can answer. What's the fee for the regular round, if somebody wants to play regularly?
You direct your comments and questions to the board, and then they can direct to me.
I want to know the actual fee if a regular player is playing in the morning or in the afternoon, regular fees.
Brian Reed could answer that for us.
Yeah, there's about 8 different fees that we charge. The regular fee in the morning is, on a weekday, is $40 for green fee, 17 for a half a cart, so it'd be 57.
Okay.
On
With
weekends,
a
75.
card and without.
Yeah, 40 and
With the card.
57 with card.
And then what about the spectator fees?
12.
12. So 57 plus 12, how much it comes to?
No, 57 would be a player riding, and then if they have a spectator riding with it, they pay an extra 12, so 69.
So the 69 would include the player, the spectator, and the cart? Okay.
Okay. And then what about in the weekend?
It's 75 plus 12, so 87.
And plus spectator fees?
No, that's included. The 12 is the spectator fee.
Okay, 12 is the spectator fees. Okay, and last time I was looking into the capital investment only for the project, just for the planning and permitting was $1 million for the clubhouse?
No, that's the cost, the estimated cost of the project. The planning and permitting is less.
I think permitting is $1 million. I confirm with you. Can you check, please? Or I can follow up again.
Yeah, the planning and permitting for the clubhouse is not $1 million. That's the estimate for the actual project. The planning and permitting is significantly less than that.
Because I was very particular asking that question that day, and I was told that the 900 almost equal to $1 million was only for the permitting process.
Yeah, Moti, I went through the budget with you,
Okay,
and
yeah.
that is not accurate what you're saying.
Okay, and then cost for the irrigation was around 3 million projected?
That's our estimate, yes.
Okay. Okay, now I'll start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and especially Mr. Brian and us, everyone. And last time I couldn't attend because I took my son, he's a 16-year-old, he's in semi-high, he's in semi-high school team. We went to 4 or 5 states, so we were quite busy because he wanted to escalate in this profession. My concern here and my request to the board is only that the golfer, the junior golfer, and especially those who are in school team, the girl or boy, Royal, Semi, High, or the Oak Park, they should be, I requested, they should be given a monthly card. We are here in the discussion, what my observing, we are beating the bush. We are not going to the actual problem. They are saying, the staff is saying the discount. Let's say if I take my son to hit the ball, I'll get 1 bucket of 90 balls, half price. Rest all he has to pay for. And 1 bucket ball, those who want to escalate or the players, it's not enough, number one thing. So the fees, the reduction, the discount, they are making it a balloon big discount, it's not a discount. Second thing, the fees about golf, mostly the students, the season barely is only 2 to 3 months. Rest all, there is no season. And in that season, the practice is only for a few days, 2 days or maximum in the week. They don't practice on Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, two days they practice, 2 days they have tournament, school tournament. So nobody comes to the golf course to practice. They all go into play in the tournament. So now comes to the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when a golfer or an athlete can practice, he can practice only after the school tournament is over and then after school homework is done. So no player go in the morning at the full fees. So it's not useful to give them discount in the morning because we need revenue for the other activities, for the golf course, for the staff, expense, everything. And everybody knows the expenses are going up. So what we are asking that if you can give them a card, $20 a month or $30 a month to all the students or to all the golfers, they can play after 12 o'clock or they can take as many as ball because hitting ball is not a cost. The cost of the ball is probably a 1 to 5 cents. So they can hit the ball. When they want to play after 12 o'clock, certain time, and everybody can accommodate them. So whatever revenue you are talking about, if they are like suppose they are $20, $30 a month, they will have the recovery of all the money. That was I was suggesting, and that's what I'm requesting. The comparison, probably the staff did it.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry. The comparison you are doing, go to any even country club, anywhere, they are welcoming the kids. Everybody wants to protect the kids. If kids is on golf course, they are safe. And that's what the purpose of this board should be, to keep the kids safe.
Sorry, your time has expired.
Okay. So I should have brought more people with me to give me the time. I didn't realize it. I told them not to come. Thank you.
Okay.
Sheriff, I just want to make sure we're talking the facts here. A couple points of clarification on the comments, if I could. Moti had indicated that 1 bucket is half off for the half price. I think it's as many buckets as they want, but I wanted to clarify that with Brian.
It is, yeah, we changed that a couple of years ago.
So if they want to get multiple buckets, it's still 50% off.
Right.
And I would just note in the afternoons right now, Monday through Friday, they can play for $5. And afternoon on the weekends, it's half off the afternoon rate, which is.
Well, 12 o'clock currently would still be full fee, but early twilight starts at 2 o'clock, and it gets discounted every hour after that, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, it's half of whatever the fee is at the
So
time.
Friday,
Is that every
Saturdays,
day or on the weekend?
Friday, Saturday,
It's
Sunday
like
afternoon,
that.
it's half price. And then Monday through Thursday with that card, it's $5. So on the weekends right now, I think the rate for a walking rate, and I understand most of the kids walk when they're out there, I think it's 44. The afternoon price after 12 on the weekends is $22 walking.
Yeah, so the regular rate in the morning is 53, which would be $26.50 at 12 o'clock. After 2 o'clock, it goes down to 44, and then it goes down to 30, it goes down to about $20 every hour.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Just so the board's clear on that,
right,
the proposal, yes.
all right.
Brian, that monthly card idea, obviously golfers might golf a lot more because they have a monthly card. But even if they didn't, how would you anticipate that would impact the finances? If they golfed the same amount, but they just had a monthly card instead?
Well, so there's a couple golf courses in the neighborhood that do that. Tierra Hada charges $24.95 for unlimited range balls. It doesn't do anything for golf, but it does for unlimited range. Los Robles has a similar program. What we've found over the years is a small number of players who practice a lot will use it a lot. And other players who only hit balls every once in a while, they won't join the program because they don't think they can take advantage of it. So in general, those programs lose money over just daily fee charging by the bucket. That's our experience.
And then
That's on the range balls, Brian, not necessarily.
Right, that would be like on an unlimited range ball.
Not the monthly fee card for, the golf part of it.
And then our speaker Modi mentioned the length of the golf season. Does that sound about correct for the discounts?
Yeah, the season goes for, about 3 months. Yeah, 2.5, 3 months.
Any other comments, board comments?
Yes. Excuse me. I want to thank you for the thorough report here, which shows that on a general basis, we've done a lot to accommodate the youth in the community. And we're not doing anything that is not making it available to them, time-wise, price-wise. And when I look at the comparisons, all of the golf courses require an adult and require the adult to pay for the cart. And I understand that because of age, liability, and all of that.
And many of them charge, make the adult pay for green fees as well, even if they're not playing.
Right, exactly. So I think we've tried and done accommodation for youth at Simi Hills and Sinaloa. And I think we're competitive, and I think we're not pricing anyone out of the market the way it's structured. So personally, I'm satisfied with what we're doing for the youth at Simi Hills and at Sinaloa.
Looking at it, my priority would be to extend the season, although there's that complication of the rosters. But extending the season, especially at the beginning, because it allows them to practice a little bit more before. And then you mentioned they get a discount Monday through Thursday.
Well, the SEGA junior membership is good Monday through Thursday. That's the $5 green fee. Juniors get a discount 50% after 12 o'clock every day.
I would like to extend the Monday through Thursday to Monday through Friday, school days. Then I'm interested in extending the season, get them a little bit more practice before the season starts. But the other parts to it, I appreciate the thorough report, and I do see we're trying our best to provide while maintaining the course. I know golf is an expensive sport, but youth sports are really expensive.
Right, I'll just be brief. I'll echo what Director Dennard said. First of all, I do commend the staff. I do think we are doing a lot for the youth. If there are tweaks we can make that makes it even more accessible and more beneficial for the youth without severely affecting our bottom line, I would be in favor of that. I certainly don't think it's necessary or even desirable. I think the speaker even alluded to that, to move the hours. I wouldn't do that, because that to me then does start having multiple layers of effect on revenue, and so I wouldn't do that, like change the hours to 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock or anything like that, because then then I do think we're not only are we really not serving the purpose, but we're actually undermining what we're doing. So I would be in favor of some minor tweaks. I am proud of what we are doing for the junior golfers, and I appreciate what the staff has done. But if there are some tweaks that can make it even better for them, I would be in favor of that.
Okay. Josh, do you have anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I am kind of echoing here, Director Denner and Ala, and just say, I think my priority would be, extending the season, however we can. I see value in that, especially, much more than, taking a $5 fee to a $1 fee. I think that's nice, but I think it's more symbolic than actual impact to students. I remember being a student, and I don't think I would, have much of an opinion from $5 to $1 at that point. But I do want to echo my thanks to staff. I think this is a fantastic report, and I think staff and I should be proud, of what we do offer to junior golfers. But I think at the end of the day, it matters more to try to extend the season, allow more opportunity for practice. But I think that could be a month on the end of the season, and I think there could be value in trying to find a way to add to the beginning of the season.
I just want to say, Josh, I agree with what you said, and I agree with you in today's terms in terms of $5 versus $1. But I want to tell you, when I was a student, that was a big difference. I'm a couple years older than you.
It would have been when I was a student too.
So after board comments, I'm going to ask some questions of Brian to get to some direction.
Okay, I have a few comments too. First of all, I do want to thank staff for this report. It's very thorough. And I see what we're offering, and I see what 7 other golf courses in the area are offering. And we offer a great deal, I think, to the students. So I don't think they could get as good a deal as they get now with us anywhere else. So I'm pretty much in favor of leaving it just the way it is. A couple of other comments on that. First, one thing that concerns me is if we start accommodating and reducing the fees for the junior golfers, every other sport group is going to come in and say, hey, we want a reduction too. And that's the thing that worries me. That's going to cause us some financial difficulties. The other thing is if we lower the fees drastically, we're going to get more golfers, which is fine, except that that's going to increase the need for maintenance on the fields, which means that cost is going to go up, right? Would that not?
I don't think a lot more golfers are going to play because we're already pretty heavily utilized. What we would end up seeing, we would see junior golfers displacing full fee customers.
Right.
So we would probably do about the same amount of business. I mean, the prime times are the prime times.
Yeah.
And so we would just see those taken up by discounted rounds.
Which means that we'd have fewer revenues to maintain the golf courses and do capital improvements. And I have a question about extending the season. Who's in charge of extending the season? Is that us, or is it like the golf association, or well, for
I
example,
have some comments along the same lines, and I'd like to have a question and answer
Because,
with Brian if I could.
like in football, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like football fields don't decide to extend the season. It's the
Okay, I apologize, my
Football.
suggestion was to extend the discount past the season.
All right.
So not like competition, but they could practice a week earlier.
So,
Okay.
so if I could, board, I think what we're hearing from the speaker is a desire to focus some more time for those that are on the golf team and those that are playing. I think that was what the speakers requested. I would think extending on the back end and giving them more free time would be relatively easy because you would know who was on the golf team during the season, and you could extend it to those golfers that were on the end of the season on the back end of it. On the front end of it, is there a way you could identify kids that might say, I'm trying out for the golf team, or you know what I mean, or something like that on the front end, so you could give them a couple extra 2 or 3 weeks of the free golf before? I heard you say the trouble is identifying who those kids are.
Yeah, most of the coaches do tryouts in, like, say, for example, the boys' season starts in February. Most of the coaches are doing tryouts in late January, early February. So they've got an idea of who's going to be on their squads.
So if we worked with the coach, and the coach gave us a list of who was trying out, you could use that list to give maybe free golf a few weeks on the front end, couple, 2, 3, and then you could extend it on the back end for those kids that were on the golf team during the season.
Right. Currently, it starts a week before.
Yeah.
We use the definition that
Yeah.
CIF provides as far as golf seasons.
Right.
And so free golf starts a week before the season and continues for a week after, including any postseason CIF playoffs that the team or individuals go through.
So I hear more joy with interest in that. I think if we got the direction to extend either on the front or the back by a given number of weeks, say a total, then Brian could kind of work with the golf coach on how to divide those weeks up between the front and the back, if that was what the board was interested in. Would you be okay with that, Brian?
Sure. I mean, the question that would be asked on the front end is, okay, well, if my kid's not, making playoffs, do they still get to, enjoy that? And if we're giving
Would you say
if
the
we're
on the
Even
back
if they're not
end?
making the team.
yeah, if they're just playing, do they, we're favoring, some kids over others. Do we want to go down that road?
I think we'd
Can I ask a
have to be sure that they were part of the team and sanctioned by the coach. And I don't know how much time that would take, or clerical, or.
It would be easy enough to do. The coaches I could ask the coaches to give me a
Yeah,
list.
I think we'd have to monitor the kids, the group, because I can see kids saying they're playing because they're part of the team when they're really not part of the team.
Brian, if you go to the coach, you're going to know whether they're going to make the team or not. Well, let's just say it's someone who's trying out for the team as opposed to someone else who's going to school. You can get that information from the coach, right?
Yeah, more or less, yeah. For example, Royal has 30 girls trying out for the team right now. The squad's 12. But they're at the golf course, hitting balls on every afternoon. He's going through tryouts and he's trying to weed out, trying to improve their skills.
And I like that. You anticipated my next question. I wanted to get an idea of what the difference in the numbers would be too. So would that be pretty typical? You'd have like 30 trying out for 12 spots, or?
Girls, yes. Boys, no. There's more girls try out for the team. There's unrelated issues.
And when you got to the point where the team was chosen, so I'm just going to throw out a number. So right now you're saying it's a week each way. If we went 30 days each way, just as an example, as opposed to 7 days each way, whatever that number is, whether it's 20 trying out for 12 spots or 30 trying out for 12 spots, once you got to the point where the team was chosen, then you're going to be down to those 12 anyway. So it's just for that very short period of time that it would be more. There would be more students.
Yeah, we'd have to, work with the coaches, get a roster, get a list of everyone who's reached out to the coaches. It could be 10, 20, 30, could be more. We don't know. But we would have to have a list at the counter and basically just allow them to say, hey, I'm trying out for golf, and that's a month of free golf.
And Brian, was your concern when the team gets cut from 30 to 12? Were you saying were you concerned that those that don't make the team still expecting a free golf during the season?
Yeah, we'd have to identify a certain time and say, okay, the team is set, so those who are just trying out are no longer entitled to.
Was your concern more about identifying them, or more of the emotional impact of them getting cut off the free golf?
Well, more of just the logistics of it, because sometimes the teams split and there's one team half of the team at CME playing, the other half of the squad's over at Sinaloa practicing. So there's a lot of that goes on. So logistically, it's a little bit more of a. We would just kind of have to take.
Let me ask this: if you had free golf for, like Ed said, 30 days before, and you were out all 30 free golf, does that mess up the availability of the course for others? Or can you schedule in the free golf for that
Yeah,
extended period of time.
Yeah, we block off tee times for the schools to do tryouts, and so every tee time that gets blocked is.
So you'd have more tee times blocked out for a
Right.
extended period of time.
Right.
But
instead
this
of-
is all in non-prime time. We're talking about
Yes.
times where you wouldn't have as many golfers out there anyway, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we typically book at 100% from opening till noon, and from 2 o'clock on. Most of the high school practices are in the 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock time range, and, those would be in our twilight hours that are booked at close to 100% on a daily basis. A little less so at Sinaloa, but at CME it's booked 100%. So every practice round that we book for the team displaces. And we
So
know
you
that,
would
and
be
it's been like that.
displacing, say, 3 or 4 more tee times
Yeah,
during that period?
yeah, we would just be blocking more tee times, and so it just displaces revenue.
But it would be for a period of a couple weeks, because once the
Right.
team is, two things are gonna happen. Once the team is chosen, you'll know who those people are. And second, it could be different now, but if I try out for the golf team and I'm in high school, and I don't make the golf team, I'm moving on to something else. 'Cause I gotta enjoy my time in high school.
Yeah, most of the kids who are on the golf team do that. As soon as the season's over, we don't see them again.
Right,
They try out
exactly.
the next spring, so.
Right, so once that short period of time, the extra whatever, 2 or 3 weeks passes, you're gonna be back to your regular number anyway. It's for a short period of time, you're gonna have a few more golfers that are out there. I mean,
Okay, so what I think I've heard from the majority at least is this idea of extending the front end to the back end to a broader number of students. So that would give the ones that are on the team also additional free golf for additional number of days. And then I've heard extending the SCGA discount to Fridays.
With details left up for Brian to work out, like if we said extended, we'll say 2 weeks, maybe Brian will choose to extend it 2 weeks before or 1 week on both ends.
Yeah, I think we want
I
a
want to give you
consensus. I
flexibility.
think we would need to know about how much time, how many weeks or days before and not before and after, but just in total, I think.
so right now, it's 1 week, the season's defined as 1 week before the season actually starts and 1 week. So if it went to say 3 weeks each way, we'd be extending by 2 weeks each way. I mean, that wouldn't have that much of an impact, would it?
It wouldn't. Right now, the way it's managed is, we block chunks of time for the teams, and the coaches are responsible for getting their players there. Once the season is over, their ability to manage and supervise the kids would not be valid anymore. So the kids would be on their own to just come out and play. And so we'd have to maintain a list and have it behind the counter that they get free golf for the next 2 weeks, and subject to any restrictions that we decide to put on it, whether off peak or if there's any limits we want to put on it.
Brian, did you say you normally, after the end of the season, don't see them until tryouts next year?
A lot of them, yeah. There's a handful of players who come out on a regular basis and practice all summer long. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, but most of the team, they disappear and we don't see them again for several months.
And then clarifying, between the coach giving you a roster and the season actually starting, usually how long is that? And the reason I ask is, we extend it for 2 weeks, but you already have the roster, because it's, if the first match is tomorrow, you have to have a roster.
More or less, yeah. The girls have been going for about 3 weeks now, and I don't have a roster yet for either one of them, so
Yeah,
they're still doing
tryouts.
they're doing tryouts, yeah.
So when you don't have a roster, are they paying to play?
No, we book their times, we give them range balls. I mean, we work with the teams on a pretty active basis, trying to get them through their tryouts and narrow their teams down. And I was at Sinaloa today, and there were 12 girls out playing, and another 8 or 9 or a dozen of them on the range hitting balls. So I know the coach is still actively working on
So we're letting all these as a community service for these girls or the guys?
We try to be good to the teams. I mean, we work with them to the extent that we
They can
can.
go to the driving range.
We give them unlimited range balls, and we try to accommodate their their schedules to the extent possible.
And that's at no charge.
Right, no charge.
I have a question. I'm just listening and thinking this through, and again, it's been a while. I'm trying to think back to high school. Practically speaking, what we're talking about here, the more important time for the junior golfer or the youth would be that period before the season starts, because after the season ends, I mean, there may be a couple who still want to take advantage of it, but the purpose or the value of it sort of goes away. So I guess for me, I'm okay with it if we just extend it for prior to the season as opposed to following the season, because I'm not sure, now that I'm thinking this through, I'm not sure I'm seeing the, other than giving away free golf, which is, great and everything, but I'm not a fan of that either. To me, the purpose or the value behind it comes prior to the season. So for me, I'd be willing to vote for it either way, but for me, I'd almost tailor it just to extend it for maybe 2 weeks prior to the start of the season, and then have it end when, as you say, the CIF definition of the end of the season is, because that's still a week after the true end of the season anyway, right? So I don't know that there's for what we're trying to accomplish, I don't know that there's a benefit beyond that after the season. So I'd be looking more to extend it a couple weeks prior to the start of the season, and leave it as it is the following the season, because there's still that week buffer.
I'm good with that, that makes sense.
So what we're saying is that the coaches would provide you with their lists, and we would accommodate during the tryout period, and they could play and use the driving range. And if they're on a cart, they have to have an adult, so that adult has to pay.
Right, well, so those are two different things. During the high school teams, when they're playing and practicing, there's no adults allowed. They don't go out, the adults don't go out with the teams. I mean, there's coaches, and the coaches take golf carts, and we've always given them free golf carts to go out and manage the teams, so if they have to
So there's no cart rental coming in?
There's no cart rentals at all for the teams, no.
Okay.
For practice rounds or matches.
Okay, so what I think, so the end of the season, we're gonna stick to whatever the current definition now. I'm hearing that instead of 7 days in advance of the season, we're gonna go to 21 days in advance of the season.
I think that's realistic.
I could live with that.
Did you say 21 days?
So we
Instead
do
of
7
7,
now, we're gonna add 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Adding 2
adding
weeks.
2 weeks to the 1 week.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then extending the SCGA discount to Fridays instead of just Monday through Thursday after
Okay,
12.
I could live with that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call?
Director Avila?
Aye.
Director Denner?
Yes.
Director Frieden?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gray?
Aye.
Chair O'Brien?
Yes.
Thanks, Brett.
Chair, would it be possible to have a short recess at the conclusion of this item?
Yes, let's have an 8-minute recess, 7 minute, get back here at 7:40, however many minutes that is. Okay, we are in recess. Item 9B, review and discuss use of motorized vehicles, including electric bicycles on district property.
Thank you, Chair. Director Freeman asked this item be agendized for discussion. So staff didn't particularly have any recommendations. We're willing to take any direction the board may give us. I did want to note we did put our 2 rules that apply to motorized vehicles. Rule number 9 in our ordinance deals with bicycles, but it also deals with electric bicycles or electric motors. And then rule number 73 and 74 are what we use for motorcycles, motorized motorcycles. So with that, that concludes the report. There's our existing rules, and we're open to any direction or that the board may want to provide or answer any questions you may have.
I have what's probably a phenomenally stupid question, but what is the difference between an electric bike and a motorcycle?
So there's different definitions. Anybody could, I believe any bike with a motor on it, whether it's electric or gas, is a motorized vehicle.
Okay.
They both have motors. One's an electric motor and one is a gas motor.
Right.
So when I say a motorized vehicles or motorized bikes, I'm talking anything with a motor.
Anything with a motor on
Anything
this.
that doesn't have a motor, a
Okay.
mountain bike or a regular bike is not
Okay.
motorized, in my mind.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I want to say why I asked this to be put on here, because when we had the discussion on the drones, there were comments by the equestrian people of problems with people riding electric bikes along with the horse trails, and causing some problems. And I'm concerned, I don't know if anyone else is, that this could be a conflict between the two uses. And I just wanted to see what the rest of the board felt like. I mean, I say in here where the ordinance is very clear that people are supposed to be respectful.
Yeah, it seems like common
I'm not
sense.
always sure that people are respectful and could cause a hazard.
Chair, I have some comments when we get to that section on the topic and addressing safety and politeness. But I just want to clarify in under 9 and rules, there is a difference between an electric motorcycle, which is a motorized vehicle, as you mentioned, and it's just a motorcycle, it's electric. And then at the very end, it says pedal assist feature of that sentence. Pedal assist is a bike, it has a motor, but you have to pedal. So you are getting exercise. And as a part of that, they have a speed cap on them, which means it doesn't go over a certain speed. Like, if you want to go faster than that, you have to pedal harder, but the motor is not helping you go fast.
Okay.
So if we see a comment like a ranger sees someone going 40 miles an hour on a bike, it's not an e-bike, that's an electric motorcycle.
That's a gas powered.
It could be electric, but it's not. They're not pedaling. There's no pedals on the bike.
Okay.
It's just a motorcycle.
That makes
that's
sense.
electric.
All right, great.
So as we discuss it tonight, without sharing opinions because we're not there, electric motorcycle is just a motorcycle that's electric.
Yeah.
Pedal assist is a bicycle. You've seen them all the time.
It's pedal
And you might not realize it because they're pedaling, but there's a motor that's giving them a boost.
Okay.
So
So if I
have we
could,
had any direct?
so what Brian is talking about, the non-pedal assist bikes or motorcycles are currently not allowed by rule. So if there's conflict between those and equestrian, that's an enforcement issue that we need to get out there and stop it.
Right.
If we want to address the issue of pedal assist bikes and conflicts with equestrian, that would be appropriate. I mean, that's the kind of thing we're discussing. But if it is the electric non-pedal assist bikes, that's we already don't allow that. That would be us getting out there and enforcing to make sure that those are not on our trails.
So if the horse people have an issue, come in contact with an electric bike that does not have pedals, they should know to contact the district.
Correct.
Okay, maybe,
My experience also is it's usually the same people that are doing that routine. So it's usually the same group that may be doing that in that area. So once we identify them and locate them, we can kind of stop the behavior through that effort.
okay, I will get back to the folks and tell them to please let us know and what the difference is and what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah, and what's allowed is pedal assist. So if their problem is with pedal assist, then that's it. We do allow that right now. So if you want to not allow pedal assist in conflict with equestrian, you change the rule to not allow pedal assist in a defined area that we define as equestrian, which would mostly be the bridle path area.
Do we have any idea on how many riders there are out there on the horse trails or on our?
I don't. I think Brian is our resident. Brian's out there most
Are there a lot
often.
of-
Or
are there a
anybody
lot of
that's out on
riders?
the trails, I would anecdotally.
So the bicycles have never been more popular in mountain biking in the last few years because of the pandemic. Trails were closed. We kept them open. The number of, when I say e-bike, that means you got to pedal.
Yeah, right.
E-bikes are growing really fast in popularity. They're hard to get sometimes, they're sold out. And then if you go to a trail and you see a lot of people riding, a lot of those are already e-bikes.
Okay.
And then the other part is just mountain biking in general is getting more popular too. And our trails are maintained at a high quality, and we have a lot of them, and they go back pretty far, and we're pretty flexible. So what I mean by that is like open. So sometimes people are definitely from here, but we're popular too. Like people come here, they enjoy it. We have a lot of groups that like to do group rides.
I mean,
So we are
I
seeing-
was hiking down on the East End, and the only reason I knew the bikers were behind me was because I heard them, you know, and unfortunately, he lost it and fell pretty seriously, but I don't know how that would affect horseback riders, that's what I'm,
Have we had any incidents or complaints about e-bikes scaring horses?
I mean,
Teresa, actually, in
Yeah.
anticipation of this, Teresa reached out to the staff just to get a feel for the e-bikes and what the staff
Oh
has
wait,
seen.
I apologize to answer the rest of your question. Electric motorcycles, where they're not pedaling,
that's
just go like that, it goes
they're
really
not
fast.
allowed.
Yeah,
I normally see those once every couple weeks. There'll be somebody riding one somewhere, and they're not allowed, but
You mean riding on our trails?
on our trails or on their way to our trails, yeah, every few weeks I see one.
okay. So,
Can I ask
I
a
mean, it's
question?
very hard, I understand it's very hard to control. Very
Yeah.
hard to control
Yeah.
the situation, so.
I'm just curious, Brian, when you see the motorcycle once every couple weeks, is it a bother? Is it a big bother? How would you describe it?
Did you say it bothered?
Yeah, is it a bothersome thing? Is it I mean, when you,
Well, normally I see them like on their way to a trail or their way out. So I don't know how fast they were going when they were way back there.
sure.
And when I say I see them a few weeks, before that sounds like there's a lot of them. I go outside basically every day, so.
Right. No, it doesn't sound like
Yeah.
a lot at all. That's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, they could be dangerous because they could go really fast.
Sure.
Not the e-bikes, the electric motorcycles.
Right.
But I think they normally ride at a slow speed because they don't want to get noticed. And then they look like a motorcycle, bike kind of. Then once they get really fast there. But and also to answer your question, I see bikes that go too fast and they don't have a motor. So
Right.
So how fast can e-bikes go when you're pedaling?
an e-bike, most of them cut out at 20 miles an hour.
Okay.
But although that sounds fast, my normal mountain bike on flat ground, I can ride 20 miles an hour. So, yeah, they're not faster. I mean, they could be faster going uphill than obviously a non-e-bike, but
I believe the vehicle code breaks them up into classes. I believe class 1 is under 25 miles an hour and the class 2 is above 25 miles an hour.
yeah,
So
so
then we
if
allow class 1, pedal assist class 1.
I'm pedaling, it helps me get up to 20 miles an hour easier. But my normal mountain bike with no motor could go 20 miles an hour on flat ground.
Yeah.
And then going down a hill, it doesn't matter what type of bike it is, a lot of them go too fast.
Yeah. Right.
yeah, okay. Teresa was gonna give us some information.
Yeah, what was your question on that? And Brian may have answered it.
Yeah.
It was about the experience with e-bikes, right?
The
So in the
complaints, I
open,
think? The question was like, have there been a lot of complaints?
I think
Specifically about,
we're getting, we have a handful of complaints about e-bikes in the developed parks, not necessarily the open space. So we are getting some complaints on the e-bikes in developed parks
okay,
and the speed of those in developed parks.
See, they shouldn't be, well, we allowed it, but we should be more cautious of allowing the bikes just in a public park, I think.
Well, that's a different issue, because I think Elaine, you were originally talking about the conflict between equestrians and e-bikes. But the issue of the e-bikes in the parks is kind of a different, we can talk about it, but it's different than what you had started with.
Correct.
That's why I didn't,
I will go back to the folks and explain the difference and ask them to be in touch if they have an incident with an electric motorcycle.
it'd be best, yeah, that we have the ranger number they can call, and Teresa, we direct them to that location, we ask them where and when, and we'll send the rangers out there to try to find the person that's not following the rules.
I mean, you go out for a nice horseback ride and you don't expect to come across an electric
Yeah.
bike.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other comments from board members, questions?
Well, so I just have brief comments, but do we want to, is anybody from the public here to
Oh, that's
speak
a
on
good
this?
point.
There is.
Yeah.
I mean, this actually shouldn't be comment time, it should have been questions.
Actually, questions, what I meant to say was, any questions from board members?
So I don't have any questions. I was
Okay.
going to wait
Public
for the
speakers.
I am going to open up to public comment. I have 2 green cards and a pink card. Don Kelly gave me a pink card, does not wish to speak. If you change your mind, let me know. All right, next one is Susan Hall.
Does the pink card state a position on the issue?
It just says, no, it does not. It says e-bike.
Do you ride an e-bike or are you against them?
No, I'm for them.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. In favor of e-bikes. All right. Susan Hall.
Yeah.
Let's put
Did
it
you come
here.
up here to speak?
Yeah.
I just hope that,
And turn on the mic.
push that.
Yeah, push it up.
Okay. I just hope that Simi is an e-bike friendly neighborhood. Personally, I see, maybe it's because I'm on the outside trails, but I see many more mountain bikes than equestrians. And I agree with everybody about we don't need electric motorcycles on the trails. I think most bicyclists would agree, Class 1. And a lot of it comes down to courtesy on the trail. I'm just, the board seems to be pretty e-bike friendly, but that's the reason I came. I kind of wanted to put that out there. Also, there's a lot of the e-bike people that are willing to do trail work if they wanted to organize with the Trailblazers, because we like to be good citizens and we like to
About
spend the time
education
out
on courtesy on the trails.
Right.
Like an
I ride,
education.
right, exactly. I ride with the Girls Gone Riding, with women's
Okay,
group.
that'd be cool, yeah.
And then I have a Facebook group, a See Me MTV, that
Okay.
I'm in.
You turned in a green card, correct?
Yes.
We'll reach out to you and see if there's some help you can give us.
Okay, I would be
great.
glad to.
Thank you for the offer.
Okay,
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. I have Kenny Perry.
Oh, you're kidding.
Hi folks, thank you for giving us the time. My name is Kenny Perry. I'm a Simi Valley resident since 1963. I grew up here playing in the hills, living in the hills. I'm a former professional motorcycle racer. I did that for many years. Been involved in the sport all my life. Was injured in 1992, switched over to bicycle riding for therapy, mental and physical. And I ride close to 13,000 miles a year. I ride almost every day. And I've switched over recently to adopting over to e-bike pedal assist bicycles. They're a great adventure piece. They give people an opportunity to ride that couldn't ride otherwise. They're no difference than a regular bicycle, other than that you can climb up a hill faster because you have pedal assist power. They do no other damage to a trail other than a regular bicycle. If there's any complaints with what's happening on the trail, it's not because of the e-bike, it's because of the person that's actually on the bike. So education needs to go to the individual, not hampering the actual use of the tool. The tool is a great thing. It provides lots of revenue to the city through sales of bicycles, through the local shops and then the parts that are generated that way. They're a wonderful opportunity and great thing to have here in Simi. I ride, I love that we have the hills that are open to us. I respect them. I try and do everything I can to help preserve them. When I do see an electric motorcycle, I am first to make a phone call. Even though I am a motorcycle rider, they don't belong in our hills and in our trails. They're too fast. But again, a pedal assist bicycle is a safe mode of transportation. It's fun, and I would hate to see they become banned in any way because of ignorance of people of understanding what they do. I agree there has to be some education. There are people who are very inconsiderate, but then there's inconsiderate hikers and there's inconsiderate horseback riders. I mean, we're all people and we all need to be educated and take care of one another. But I think when we work together, it can be good for all of us. And we're so blessed to have so much open. As a kid, all of the hills that I wanted to go into were illegal. I wasn't allowed to go into them, but now they're open, and I want to see that maintained so that my grandkids, unfortunately, my 6 grandkids still live here in Simi, and I take them riding with me all the time, and I don't want to lose that. It's a wonderful opportunity here in Simi Valley.
I have a question. You're out riding, you're like, and you come along some horseback riders. Who has right of way?
The horseback rider.
The horseback riders.
We stop and get off our bikes and let them go by.
That's protocol?
That's what I do.
Do you
That's-
think that's what most people do?
I would hope so. I would hope so. The horse is a whole lot bigger than I am.
No, I just wondered if there was a protocol.
Well, that's the protocol. Horse has right of way. And I stop and move off the trail and wait for it to go by. And it is also, in all of our local trails, it's very rarely that I see a horse.
Okay.
See one occasionally in the Tapple Canyon area, but otherwise that's about it. Because most of them are up in the bridle path area and they already have their own trails.
Right.
And so they're really not on too many other trails. Very rarely see them, very rarely.
What's your favorite mountain bike trail? In Sand Valley or our area?
There's so many good ones. I love Chivo.
He likes them all.
I like them all, yeah.
I like that that's the hardest question tonight. Like
Yeah.
you're afraid of offending some trails.
Yeah, no, Chivo's a great trail. Tapple Canyon, Rocky Peak has some great stuff. Or Albertson's Parkway up in that area, there's some great trails up there. There's really just a lot of places to go. We're really lucky. And if you live in Simi, you can jump on your bike and ride wherever you want to go. So there's really a lot open for us. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk, and
Thank you.
thanks
Thank
for
you
keeping
for
our
your
trails
comments.
safe.
Thank you. All right, I have no more green cards. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Anyone on Zoom who would like to speak? Any
I
member
do
of
see a
the
mountain
public?
biker on Zoom.
Okay,
Chair, if I could, just to clarify for the audience, so everyone understand, we did no changes to our rules. So everything that we have allowed is still allowed.
okay.
And what we got was a little direction in those instances where we need better enforcement, that staff will focus on that as those issues come up.
Okay,
As a suggestion, one part is for the people that came out and spoke tonight, one part for our staff. I know we have a new kiosk in our budget, and there's, Elaine, as you mentioned, the right-of-way. I've seen some communities, they put up a sign that has a triangle with the right-of-way of the 3 hikers, bikers, mountain horses. And we could put it on there someplace it could fit.
that's
And
good.
they're pre-made, we don't have to make a
Yeah,
custom one.
it's a good idea.
Yeah,
And then
I like that.
I've seen many communities like Canal Open Space Conservation Agency does a little box with bells. And then mountain bikers could take a free bell to put on their bike so you hear them coming. And
Yeah.
I'm curious for our speakers tonight, if the board says that's good and the staff says that's good, is that something you might work on, like get a box approved and get some bells up there?
In Wood Ranch, they have one at the top of the trail, an open box, that you take the bell, and then there's a box at the bottom that when you're done, you drop the bell off.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
I don't like that it says Canal on it, I want to say Simi, but I'm good with it. Yeah. If that's something that the group might volunteer to get some boxes and round up some bells, we'd
Bells are
appreciate
great.
that.
We all run them, and they make a big difference.
Yeah, hikers like them.
Are we all good with that? If they attach it to a kiosk, like a little box with bells you could grab?
Yeah.
And then to be clear, it's electric motorcycles, I'm good with enforcement because they could be dangerous. For e-bikes, I'd also like to point out they're accessible to all ages. So it extends the amount of years that people mountain bike can explore. And we have a lot of trails that when I go really far back there, you see almost nobody. You know, the first mile or two you do, but 5 miles in, it'd be nice if, you know, more people could get out, so. It's not just that we allow them, but, you know, we could encourage, if people are pedaling and getting exercise, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Comments?
I just want to thank the speakers. I think those comments were really articulate, and they basically define the way I feel about this. To me, it's a no-brainer. Of course, we should be allowing e-bikes. The issue is, it is a courtesy issue. As the one speaker indicated, whether it's a runner, a hiker, someone on a mountain bike, it's a question of courtesy. I can't emphasize enough, we're the park district in this area that safely opened our parks and trails during the pandemic, that was out there for people to use. And the last thing we should be considering doing is making those trails less accessible to people and less desirable for people when there's a wide variety of ways those trails can be used. So that's the last thing that we should be thinking about doing. I'm proud of the fact that we did that. I'm proud of the fact that we were there for the community, and we shouldn't be looking for ways to restrict usage. We should be glad that people are using our trails. So, I'm all in favor of the e-bikes and people just having a great time on our trails. And thank you to our speakers.
Thank you.
Let's be
Thank
clear,
you.
let's be clear, I was not suggesting that we limit. I wanted a discussion on the safety of the issue and what other board members felt.
Right, I've indicated
Okay.
what I felt.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Elaine say anything about further restrictions, but just clarifying what we have.
I didn't.
Right. I'm happy with the way we have it set up now. It seems like we've got it under control. Maybe I like the Bell idea. I think a sign showing priority puts right away on the trails, horses,
So people
hikers.
understand.
So it's clear to everybody. I think we do that, we'll be fine. We don't really have to vote on anything now, do we?
No.
Okay.
We're not taking any action.
Okay.
Sorry,
Great.
we're not taking any action, so no.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Item C, approval of the notice of completion and final acceptance for the tree trimming and pruning services at various district parks in Oak Park project.
Thank you, Chair. Wayne Nankoka, the District's Director of Planning and Maintenance, will provide the report.
I just wanted to add one small fact to your prior staff report. Timmy Perry, who just left, maybe Elaine remembers him, maybe Kate remembers him. He used to own Amaron Plumbing, who did 90% of the Park District's work.
I thought he looked familiar.
Yes.
Okay, now I know why.
He did a lot of work for the Park
You
District.
know, I didn't, okay, I didn't, it didn't register in my mind either. Thank you for mentioning.
Yeah.
I didn't even, I felt like I recognized the, thank you, but.
I wish he still was in business because we could use him, but he was a great contractor to deal with.
You said you could be back in business, you'd appreciate it?
Oh, Shannon, I wish you were back in business. We could use you.
Oh, I still am.
Oh, are you?
Oh, great.
Don't go away too far. Okay.
Okay.
Back to the serious work. Chair O'Brien, members of the board. On June 1st, 2022, the Board of Directors awarded a contract to, I'm going to shorten this down, to Four Seasons Landscaping to do the tree contract work in Oak Park. After we got the authorization to solicit bids, I should say that we ran into a little complication out in the field. We got a report that there was a burrowing owl in one of the neighborhoods. So we had to reduce our scope of work in our bid document to back down to, according to this report, 101 trees. Originally, we had 123 trees to be cut in Oak Park. We did bid the 101 trees. The price came in awfully low. We were kind of concerned about it. But oddly enough, this contractor did perform the work. He did perform the work outstandingly, on time, and within budget. No change orders to the project. So tonight, staff is requesting that the board accept the work as complete for the tree trimming and pruning services contract, various district parks in Oak Park, and authorize the final payment to the contract.
And Wayne, we're going to follow up with the 22 trees that didn't get done.
Yes.
At the appropriate time, yes.
Okay. Okay, any questions?
Was the Oak Park Committee apprised of this?
Yes.
Okay.
They did the work so fast and so cleanly, nobody noticed.
Okay.
Wow.
They knew that the second bid process is coming?
They also had the contract to do the palm trees, which got delayed.
Okay.
We had a little concern with them about that one, but based upon this work, I've got no concerns over this company using them again. They were outstanding.
Great. Fabulous. Okay, any other questions from the board? Any public comment? All right. We need a motion for this, don't we? Okay, who would like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Who would like to second?
I'll second that.
All right, let's have a vote. Roll call.
Director Avalon?
Aye.
Director Dinner?
Yes.
Director Freeman?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gray?
Aye.
And Chair O'Brien?
Yes. All right. Item 10, written communications of note.
Staff has none.
Okay, any board members have a written communication? Okay.
I had nothing. I had a great week in Tucson.
We did get an email, somebody complimenting us on Stratton Park, which I thought was nice. 2 days ago. That was nice.
That might count as a communication note now that you mention it. I spoke to some staff, coaches for golf. They're very happy with our staff and the way that they're treated while they're there, and they gave compliments.
Okay, great.
I would like to thank Richard for taking on the new position. I think that's terrific.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We're off the agenda.
Okay.
There's no like.
Item 11, reports by board members. Brian, we'll start with you.
I did see the post about pond closure, and I assume there was the Oak Park pond closure. There was a notice, don't go to the pond is going to be closed for construction.
Yes.
But somebody had taken that picture, reposted it someplace else, and they thought it was a pond in Simi Valley. Like, if you see any confusion, that's why. They just took the image, and then they reposted it. And,
it was on Instagram, I clarified.
Okay, good job, thank you for that. I attended the alt-rec pool party, and it was awesome. It was very well attended. There's a lot of people there, and participants were having a lot of fun. So thank you to our staff for putting together the alt-rec pool party. The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy meeting that I had, we made some really good progress of things that I can share right now. There's a couple different land parcels that are close to us that they approved funding and to go to the next step. We all know how that goes. Just because you do one part doesn't mean it's done. But the two parts briefly, I can show you maps later. But one of them is past Rocky Peak. So although it's past Simi Valley, it connects the trails. So it's a very popular area, and sometimes people go there and sometimes not, because it's not very clear if you're allowed to. But now you're going to be allowed to. And it connects a lot of really popular trails by Rocky Peak. And then the second area is a smaller parcel, but it's up in the, closer to Sage Ranch, up in the Knolls, but just another part. So they're working, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, to protect open space. And when I say protect, for wildlife, but it's also going to be open for recreation. It's not going to be closed off. So that's some good progress. And that's it for me.
Okay. Director Freeman. Nothing. Water fell out of the sky in Tucson.
Yes.
How weird.
I did want to adjourn in the name of Carmen Ramirez. I worked with her for on LAFCO and on other things over the years. And I would like to do that.
Ed, Director Ed.
I have nothing.
Wow.
Director Ed has nothing.
Vice Chair Gray.
I also have nothing.
Okay. I have essentially nothing. We did go last week to a Twisted Gypsy concert in Camarillo Constitution Park, which was great. It was the Fleetwood Mac tribute band, and it was a good one. So I just want to point out that we can go to other people's concerts too, anytime we want. I'm looking forward to CSDA next week. I think it'll be a big conference. All right. Item 12, report by district manager.
Thank you, Chair. COVID, no issues to report. Skate park, no issues to report. I'm happy to report that our uptick in vandalism during June and early part of July seems to be subsiding. The number of occurrences has significantly reduced over the last several weeks. Let's hope it stays that way. I did want to note, I've mentioned to the board the pool project. We are on notice to do some improvements by inspectors at the pool. I have worked with the city and the school district to contribute to that project, and they are willing, so that is good news. We reviewed our year-end financials. I'm also happy to report that we finished better in our projected year-end than we had assumed in our budget build. So sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's about the same, and sometimes it's better, but we did a good job, and we ended the year better than we anticipated financially. The after-school clubs, relatively good news to report. We are about between our, let's say, last year and our enrollment in the elementary after-school clubs and what our peak was pre-COVID. We are still climbing back to pre-COVID peaks. We're not all the way there, but we are higher than last year, still a little lower than pre-COVID, but good news that we're still getting folks coming back to the after-school clubs. The middle schools are still down in terms of enrollment. We've got very little interest at Sinaloa and Hillside, and we have interest at Valley View. So we did offer to transport students because we didn't have enough students to open individual clubs. We did offer the opportunity to transport from Hillside and Sinaloa to Valley View, where we could operate. We did that for a week or two, but the few kids that were doing it, the parents opted not to transport. So as of now, Hillside and Sinaloa Middle School after school clubs are not operating due to lack of interest, but Valley View is. And if anybody needs middle school after school club care, it's available at Valley View. So we have a new intern on board, Mr. Gray. You wanted us to get that, so I believe she's a 3rd or 4th year student at Northridge, and she's got some social media marketing kind of experience. So we'll introduce to her. She's going to start about the middle of September, so we'll introduce her to the board when she gets here. Also happy to report when we put Jeannie, we moved Jeannie to Strathern. As a part of that move, when she got up to speed at Strathern and she got her staffing going, part of that model was to get Jeannie to do part of her job to focus on outdoor programming and education. So she's now up to speed at Strathern, and she is putting together a plan to enhance our outdoor programming and education. I anticipate we'll have a presentation to the board. She's got a busy season with Halloween and stuff, so maybe in November we're going to be presenting to the board an enhanced outdoor education programming for the district under Jeannie's lead. Our auditor's in town this week. I think a couple of us have asked to sit down with them. So that's the year-end audit for the year that closed June 30. So they're here this week. You guys will be getting some letters like we usually do with the audit. Simi Hills irrigation. Recall that's been a big project we've been meaning to do. Brian has identified a designer for that. We are going to have a meeting this week to do that. That will come back to the board to issue the contract. So just want to let you know we're moving forward on the Simi Hills irrigation project. We have Yachtly Crew this Saturday, which should be extremely popular and extremely busy. Let me know if the board members want reserved parking, and I'm sure Zach and his team will make sure that happens. Yes.
I don't know, I feel like I saw Brian there about 3 years ago.
I have my hat and I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't have a hat, but I realize that's going to make me look like a fool that I don't have a hat, because I had no idea who they were 3 years ago. And I was just going as part of my park board duties and figured I'd stick around for a little while. And boy, are they popular. And yeah, the hats. Everybody's got the hat.
Get there early, you might get a hat too.
Okay.
So I'll have this, Zach's online if we could get parking for the board members for the users that are going, and we'll send out an email to show you where that parking is for that concert. I'm also happy to report, this is really cool, the Simi Valley Police Foundation is having their big annual golf tournament fundraiser at Simi Hills. So previous years, they've kind of been out of town and at different clubs. Brian was able to make it work, so our hometown Simi Foundation Police Tournament is going to be at our golf course on August 25th. So that's really good. Thanks, Brian. And then just to note that Teresa and I think Elaine and Kate are going to be at the CSDA conference Monday to Wednesday next week. So board meetings upcoming. We're pretty light, both on the 7th and the 28th. Not a whole lot, a few presentation items, the final budget on September 28th, but we're pretty light, both meetings in September. Some items may come up between now and then, but those two meetings are fairly light at this point.
Can I ask a question? Is the 28th a meeting that we...
Yes, I wanted to note that, thank you. So the meeting in September, we moved to the 4th Wednesday because of one of the holidays that on the 21st. I believe that's
Is that meeting necessary, or?
Let me give that some thought. If we don't need the meeting on the 28th, if we can move the items either to the 7th or the 6th, we can do that. Let me give it a little time.
It always works out good for the staff.
Yeah. So you're talking about the meeting on the 28th, right?
Yeah, because that's not one of the.
Yeah, let's give it a little time to see if anything comes up that we need to have you get together. If not, we can adjust on that.
We can adjust. Okay.
And that concludes my report.
The reason I mentioned because we'll be meeting the week after that.
Yes.
Yeah, so then, okay, great, thank you. We have a closed session.
I have a couple closed session items. I'd ask the attorney to read the title of those items, and we take public comment on those as well.
We take 5 minutes. for closed session?
Can we do, sure. Can
Oh,
we read the
yeah,
titles
yeah,
over?
yeah.
Read the
We'll take
titles,
it.
read the
Yes,
titles,
yes,
take
I-
public comment.
I wasn't, yeah, I heard it and I wasn't listening.
Read the title and then take public comment and then
All right, so we have two closed session items. I'll start with 13A, closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, conference with real property negotiators. The property is the assessor's parcel, Ventura County, and it lists various numbers, 500, I'm not going to read them. The agents and negotiator is the district manager. The negotiating parties are the city manager for the city of Simi Valley. Under negotiation are the price, terms, and conditions regarding potential purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. Item B is a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation. And the title is the district manager. And it, for some reason it goes on, a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, agency designated representative, yours truly, the district council, and the unrepresented employee is the district manager.
for those listening, I don't anticipate any action items coming out of the closed session this evening.
So we could adjourn from the closed session if we want.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
If there were action items, we would report it at the next meeting.
Public comment on the closed.
Session, and we have a recess.
Public comment, if you could ask for public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Public comment
On the closed session.
on the closed session items. Okay, we are in closed, we are in recess.